What's going on, guys? Welcome back to WWE Network and Show, where I, Graham G.S. Matthews, break down all the original content I watch on the WWE Network. Today, we're talking the premiere episode of WWE Where Are They Now on the WWE Network, featuring Kelly Kelly and MVP. Now, they've done this series before, but on their YouTube channel. It's a great series. It's exactly what it suggests it is in the title, that they catch up with former superstars like Vladimir Kozlov, Santino Marella, Brutus the Barber Beefcake, Eve Torres a few years ago, and a number of others. It's a really great show. The latest episode they premiered on the network on Sunday night. I'm sure it will be up on their YouTube channel at some point if it's not already, but definitely go out of your way to check it out on the WWE Network right now ahead of SmackDown moving to Fox this Friday night. I'm sure that's why they did it. The beginning of the video, they show Renee Young, which they don't ordinarily do this, and they show Renee Young and she says, in light of SmackDown's 20th anniversary this Friday, we're going to look back at two superstars who, MVP was a big part of SmackDown from 2006 to 2008 or 9, I would say. Not so much Kelly Kelly. She spent a cup of coffee there from 2010 to 2011, I think, was when she was there for. Never won any gold there. She was really just on the brand for a solid year, and that was about it. But MVP was a big part of SmackDown, so this is less about SmackDown and more catching up on where they are now. But it was a very good show, though. Runs about 22 minutes in length. But yeah, Kelly Kelly is the first one up. And she talks about how she used to watch WWE with her dad and how she got approached by WWE at 19. At the time, she went to college. She was in college for broadcast journalism, which I never knew, which is fascinating because I went to school for journalism. But she was 6 months in and she knew she didn't like it. Her dad could not believe when she got signed by WWE. She was also doing modeling on the side at the time, and her manager told her that WWE was interested because they literally just picked her out of a magazine. I don't know if she's admitted to that before, not in this special, but I know other people who have worked there and stuff like that have said back in the day they would literally pick women out of magazines to come try out for them, and Kelly Kelly got the job. It was soon after that Paul Heyman called her about ECW and how he was like, hey, we kind of got this role for you if you want to do it, and it was the stripping thing on the first episode of the show back in June of 2006. She wasn't comfortable with it at first, and, understandably so, just because it was so, she's fucking stripping in front of millions of people watching worldwide at the age of 19. If they did that today, that would never fly, nor should they have done that ever. People at the time enjoyed it, but in retrospect, it was a pretty dumb thing to do. Anyway, it was right after that she joined the Extreme Expose. She formed that with Layla and Brooke Adams. She said it was a good thing because they got to be on TV every single week. She got close with those girls, and it was about after a year in ECW that she had her first match with Ariel, who was with the vampire dude, Kevin Thorne, I think his name was. And while on ECW, she was also competing at the same time on Raw as part of the Raw ECW Talent Initiative shit. So she was on TV pretty regularly, even though she was on ECW all the time, but she was also on the flagship show quite often too, before moving to Raw in the draft in 2008. She was happy to have started on ECW to kind of get her feet underneath her before she really got immersed into the business. She loved being on Raw. She went to SmackDown soon after, again, like I said, for a cup of coffee from 2010 to 2011. She said she also loved performing for the Troops at the age of 20 as part of the Tribute to the Troops tour. She said it was one of the most rewarding experiences of her entire life. We then fast forward to June of 2011 when she won a fan vote at I think it was called Power of the People, long before John Laurinaitis, or maybe not that much longer before Laurinaitis. But it was a fan vote show where people would, text in, tweet in, whatever, who they wanted to see in each match or the stipulation, blah, blah, blah. And even Kelly Kelly admitted that it was legitimate. She did not know that she'd be going for the championship that night. It was between her and Beth Phoenix and Eve. So, Eve could have realistically won too. Kelly Kelly was a pretty big fan favorite at that point. But it just goes to show that it backs up everything that everyone else has ever said about WWE, who don't work there anymore. Even Jericho has said this multiple times before, too, that their fan voting back in the day, at least years ago when they would do stuff like this from 2011 through 2013, was 100% legitimate. And that they did not know what the stipulation would be or who the opponent would be until, the fans would find out on TV. But anyway, she faced Brie Bella for the Divas Championship that night. She won it. She cried afterwards after working so long for it. She had nothing handed to her, and it really meant a lot for her to be rewarded for that hard work by winning the Divas Championship. So she retired in 2013. I think she actually left the company in September, though, of 2012. But she said she retired in 2013. She said she never had any injuries while she was there. She never took any time off. And she was ready to kind of take time for herself. So then she wanted to get into acting more. That was also something that she wanted to do. And she told Triple H that. And Triple H said, listen, the door is always open for you. If you want to come back, if you want to return, we're always going to be here, which is cool. She was then on Wags LA, the Wives of Athlete. I don't know what the exact acronym is, but I know it was Wives of something, something, something. I think Brandy Rhodes was on a season 2. I think it was Wags Atlanta that she was on. Kelly was on Wags LA. I don't think that show's around anymore, but it was big a few years ago. It was around that time that Instagram started to become a thing, so she jumped on that immediately. And then brands started reaching out, and she has made a career for herself out of posting her fashion, stuff that she would do anyway, that she probably would have been doing outside of WWE even after she left if Instagram wasn't a thing, which is pretty cool. And through that, she started her own line of wine, which is really cool. She said it originates out of Napa Valley, which I think is where the Bellas went for their wine a few years ago, which I think is still a thing. I don't know. But anyway, she also talks about how when she first started over a decade ago, a dozen years ago, she never thought the women would have their own pay-per-view. So she loves seeing the women kill it, get time for their matches, because back in the day, they would have 2-3 minutes, and now they're getting 5 to 7 minutes, or if not more than that on TV every single week, which is cool. And she was honored to be a part of Evolution, the pay-per-view last October. She didn't talk coming back for Raw 25 or the Royal Rumble match, which was really her first return to WWE. I don't think she was back with the company prior to that in an official capacity. I know she was backstage about a year or two ago, maybe a few years before that, maybe like in early 2016 or something like that. I remember that. Maybe around, I think it was 2016. But yeah, she came back to the ring of the Royal Rumble. They didn't talk about that, but it was still cool to see her there, and I was at that pay-per-view. She's also a big part of this brain cancer charity. This is sort of thing where they fundraise money and for this. I forgot what the type of brain cancer is called, but her dad passed away from it. Probably soon after she left WWE. We see footage of her is Kelly must be married. I think it was her wedding. She was dancing with her dad. I didn't know. I know she was dating like some sort of athlete for a while. Then she must have got married a few years ago. I don't know when her dad passed away, but it was really sad. I almost legitimately bawled my eyes out watching this. It was really, really sad because she talked about earlier how her dad was her biggest fan. She lost her dad to that awful, awful brain cancer. So fuck cancer if that's already not apparent enough. But anyway, she got a call about Raw Reunion earlier this year, and obviously she was very happy to do it. She won the 24/7 championship that night, won history by becoming the first ever female 24/7 champion. And she praises WWE for the opportunities that they gave her. She got to grow up there and found out what she really wanted to do through wrestling, which is really cool. We then catch up with MVP Montel Vontavious Porter. He talks about his background a little bit. He grew up in Miami in the 1980s. He knew that he was drawn and just destined for the streets because his family, I guess, was really poor and he had to find other ways to make money. And he turned to crime for a little bit when he was young. He coordinated a major heist on a cruise ship. Now, I knew he went to jail. I never knew what it was for, and I guess we find out what it was for here. I'm sure this was already public knowledge. I just never knew anything about this, so I thought it was interesting. His dad, actually, who was, I think, a parole officer, or he worked with the law in some form or fashion, he actually convinced MVP to turn himself in. And through the plea sort of thing, he was first sentenced to 18 and a half years. But because of the plea thing and because he did his time and whatever, he ended up only serving 9.5 of that time, which is fucking crazy. So almost a decade of his life gone because he was in jail. How crazy is that? So while he was in jail, he actually met a correctional officer that introduced him to pro wrestling. So when he got out of jail after 9.5 years, he needed a hobby to kind of stay off the streets and keep himself clean and all that other stuff. So he started training, and the guy was offering to train him when he got out of jail. He went to, get this, Duke the Dumpster Drozy's wrestling school. I didn't even know Drozy had a wrestling school, but I guess he fucking does, which is really cool because not him, but another friend of his who trained there, trained him out of a favor, so he never had to pay a dime for wrestling school, which is really fucking cool. He ended up signing with WWE. He got out of jail in late 99, ended up signing with WWE a developmental deal in 2005, which is awesome. He praises Norman Smiley, who helped him out a lot with his, nurturing the in-ring stuff and the character stuff, everything else. And I have never heard a bad thing about Norman Smiley, ever. He's still there. He's still a great coach from what I've heard and from other people and stuff. The guy's a godsend. But anyway, he got word that he was getting called up, and he was like, holy shit, this is about to become real. And it became real fast. And he also found out his first feud would be with Kane, and he called it surreal. And obviously Kane is a person where, even if you're not a wrestling fan, people still know the name Kane as the brother of The Undertaker, a big-time wrestler from the late 90s. And he found out his first feud would be with him, which is, pretty crazy. And they feuded for a while in late 06, culminating in that Inferno match, I think at Armageddon 2006, that he lost, and he went undefeated for a while. But that was pretty cool. So then he recalls his rivalry with Matt Hardy, obviously talks nothing of Chris Benoit, who he beat for the United States Championship soon before the feud with Matt Hardy. But again, that just makes complete sense considering this is a WWE documentary. He calls Matt Hardy a great friend, and they feuded for over a year, starting in May of 2007 when they had their first match, I think in like North or South Carolina, he said, or something along those lines, one of those sort of states. Then they became tag team partners for a while, and they won the tag team titles together, and then Matt Hardy got hurt, and he came back, and he beat MVP for the championship. It was a great feud. So while he was with WWE, he actually moved to Houston, and it was during that point when he, because of WWE's wellness policy, he found out that he had something called Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome, and it's not Parkinson's disease or whatever. It was this other little thing that I'd never heard of this before, but I think I knew that he had it. But he talked about how it's this thing where your heart has an extra circuit, and I guess this procedure, they just kind of shut that circuit down. They kill it. They zap it to make sure it goes away. I don't know if it's something that can kill you or what, but he found out about it through WWE and their wellness policy. He had the procedure done. They paid for all of his medical expenses, which is really fucking cool. And he was obviously scared about it at first because he thought, oh, could I die from this? Could my career end? But nope. He wasn't going to die from the procedure. He wasn't going to die from the whole thing. His career wasn't going to be in jeopardy, and he was completely fine. So he was really happy and grateful to WWE for that. He knew by late 2010 that he needed a break from pro wrestling. I think he left in, I want to say November or December. I think he was in WWE. He was on SmackDown by late 2010. I think he left in early December of 2010. So he started doing Jiu-Jitsu tournaments. He started taking up Jiu-Jitsu, which I've done before, and it's awesome. It's a lot of fun. He did tournaments, and he's happy to say he's won the Houston, Dallas, and Austin Opens multiple times, which is really impressive. I knew the guy did, MMA and BJJ and stuff like that. I didn't know he was this good, so that's really fucking cool. He ended up competing for the World Championship in Las Vegas, which they caught on camera. He did well there. They broke it down to weight, age, and experience. That's how the brackets kind of shake out. Again, I've done tournaments before with like Naga. They showed the Naga awards that he won years ago. And they do break it down by weight and your age and how much experience you have. And so he ended up being placed in the Masters division. And he said that he loved it. And he did well there. He didn't win. He either came in second or third, but he ended up losing to a guy that was like a fucking black belt, and he was this, world champion type competitor. So he felt bad about losing at first, but after finding out what this guy was all about and his credibility, his accomplishments, he didn't really feel too bad because he never got once taken down, which again is really impressive. So he says that he's at a wonderful place in his life right now. He has a son who's going to be 5 in October, so coming up shortly. And he says that having a son, you hear this all the time, but having a son made him realize that he was capable of love that he did not even know existed, which is really sweet. He ended up going backstage at a WWE Super Show, a live event, I believe, based off the cameras, the video that I saw of the show in the background when they were showing this part of the special. It looked like a live event in Houston. And he was backstage, got to see some familiar faces, caught up with Kofi Kingston, Randy Orton, Shelton Benjamin, R-Truth, and a few others. Got to meet new people. We see him with Ali and the Iconics. And he said that WWE gave him the chance to become an international superstar. And he's in a way better place now than he ever could have imagined for a kid that was in jail for almost 10 years. But this was great. The MVP portion was awesome. The Kelly portion was also great. Definitely check it out on the WWE Network. It's split right down the middle. The first 11 minutes are roughly about Kelly. and the remainder of the special is about MVP. So check it out ahead of SmackDown's premiere on Fox this Friday night. Super looking forward to that. It's a big week in the world of wrestling. A lot coming up between Raw's season premiere tonight as I record this. Tuesday, the return of Total Divas. So on a related note, Network and Chill. I was breaking down these straight up Steve Austin show for a while on Ms. and Mrs. But I've always broken down the Total Divas show here on WWE Network and Chill, so I think I might have broken down starting with Season 7. I got to go back. I've seen every episode, but I got to go back and rewatch the old episodes and review them here for the show. I know I broke down Season 1 years ago, but I got to go back and watch all the other episodes and review them here for Network and Chill at some point down the road when I have time, which will probably be never. But anyway, as far as Season 9 is concerned of Total Divas, I will be watching. It airs Tuesdays at 9, or rather 10 p.m. Eastern Time, starting tomorrow, October 1st. Looking forward to that. And I will be breaking it down starting Friday. So probably Friday will be my new Total Diva review days. Actually, probably not, because if they air new content after Raw on Mondays, I'll watch that, and then Total Divas. So my Total Divas review days will likely be Saturday. That'll likely be my review day for Total Divas. So just a heads up for the coming weeks when I watch the show, and if you want to know what my thoughts on it were, for the few of you out there that actually care about my thoughts on Total Divas, that's going to be up on likely Saturdays here on the channel moving forward. This week it will be up on Friday, unless there's something airing after the network tonight that I'm not aware of. There probably is, considering it's such a big episode of Raw tonight, and they're probably going to want to follow it up with something big on the network, but we'll see. So that'll be up soon. Wednesday, we have AEW and NXT going head-to-head. Thursday is nothing. NXT UK, I think, moves to Thursdays this week. Wrestle Rant Radio, the excerpts will be up here on the channel. #AskGSum on Wednesday. Friday, likely my Total Divas review, if not Saturday, if not reviewing whatever airs after the network tonight, or whatever airs after Raw tonight on the network. Friday is the big premiere of SmackDown, and Saturday, maybe, I'm not sure. Saturday, I would love to do a SmackDown review here on the channel, because I won't have time to talk about it on Wrestle Rant Radio by the time it goes up on Thursday. So I'm not exactly sure what we're doing yet, but bottom line, lots of new content going up here on the channel in the days ahead. Saturday was the first day in a while I did not post anything new, just because I was out all day at my brother's parents' weekend up in New York. But I did post videos of the impromptu Flow Rida concert I went to on his college campus from Saturday. I posted those on Sunday. So if you want to check out my Flow Rida concert clips, they're right here on the channel as well. Subscribe for more daily content. Like this video as well. Drop a comment and share it. All that stuff is greatly appreciated. At any rate, guys, have an awesome rest of your week. It is the best possible time right now to be a wrestling fan. I'm so fucking stoked. Hopefully you guys will enjoy the week as well. I'm Graham GSM Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.